Hello, welcome to Layback with Betfair. I'm Tom Haylock, joined by Daniel Cripps and Terry Leighton. We'll start with you, Cripper, because you're on time. How are you, mate?
Going well, Tommy. Thanks for having me back. Yeah, old people in technology, they just don't mix, do they? So we finally got Terry on the airway.
How are you, Terry?
Yeah, well, even better now that I've heard Cripper make the same joke both on and off air. So yeah, he rehearsed that and he got it out really well. So great stuff, Crip, and great start, boys.
Well, while you were actually working out your audio, he said it a third time and you didn't hear it. So I've heard it 3 times now. Very good. How did we fare last week, Terry?
Squarish day. Result on Janny in the first. How's this for you, Tommy? I think Cripper and I, to a degree, both probably pride ourselves on taking good prices most of the time and not drifting too much and this and that. And I've had the entirety of my Janny bet at after deductions, probably $4 if I'm lucky, and $8.13 Betfair SP. How often do you see that? Pike and Grant and Alana Williams. So anyway, whinging about a winner, but no, squarish day. Storyville helped late in proceedings. I got a 10 out of 10 from Pikey, but thin between besides those two.
I was going to talk to you about that. It was a good win, obviously, just to kick off the day. Do you go again?
No,
or do you have an understanding of why a horse like that would be drifting and go against the money, or is it case by case? Or
oh, sorry, you're talking about Janny again. Yeah. Look, I had, whenever it's Pike, Grant, and Alana type setup, I struggled to have too many other horses in my market. I did have the entirety of my stake on, so my sort of how much I'm allowed to have on the race. Being race 1, I was quite sensible, Tommy. I reckon if you caught me by race 7 after I'd had a couple of frothies, I reckon I might have had about 7 times the amount, Tom, which is not responsible. We've got to make sure we gamble responsibly. But no, I didn't have a cent more on. But in that situation, I should have had a lot more on because it won.
Yeah, correct. Easy to say post race. Just on Janny, and this is huge. As you mentioned, $8.13 Betfair starting price. Top tote $5.50. So massive 47.8% better at Betfair starting price than your top tote there. So incredible price advantage. We saw a couple of others, Candlelight Supper, Fast Flicker, even Port Lockroy, 20% price advantage on Betfair starting price. So paid $11.52. So greater price advantages, and they were just the highlights there at Ascot. Cripper, how'd you go, mate?
Yeah, similar to Terry. I was basically square. Storyville stopped me from having an absolute strip out 2 weeks in a row to start the Pinnacles. Chopped out on Janny when it did get out to that $8 mark. I was on King Cartel, obviously. So, yeah, live to punch another day.
Well, there's another day ahead of us. Before we do that, we get into the lay bin as usual. Terry, have you got a list of your wife's lay bins for you, or what's next on the list?
No list this week. It's middle of the Pinnacles. I'm just a ball of happiness at the moment, Tommy. I for me this week, I think it's time to lay off old DMAC. Yeah, he's had a bit of a blue in the.
You're not going back there.
Oh, but it's a question for you, Tommy. Yes, I read or I heard somewhere. Tell me if I'm wrong. That there was a stack matched on Sox Nation. The horse incorrectly called as the winner at around $1.20.
It got down to as low and it was matched at $1.12.
Well, all of those people, you know what? They got exactly what they deserved. They got everything they deserve. What are you doing? You're betting on a call with the wrong colours? Nah, I'm sorry. I hope they lost a fortune.
Wow. You should start betting in play with that attitude, Terry. Put your money where your mouth is.
I would have backed Port Lockroy.
Correct. Big win. Yeah, you're right. $1.12. A lot of people doing the in play off the radio or just off the call, so it does have a big impact on in play bettors at Betfair. So you're sticking up for old mate Terry.
Yeah, 100%, mate. He's what do you reckon? The second best in the business. We all make mistakes. I'm yet to make one, but I've heard a lot of people do. Yeah.
You made a few last Saturday, mate.
100% sticking up for him. Let's forgive him. And then, do you know what the worst part is? They make him recall it straight afterwards. Like how, for a very proud man, geez, that would have hurt. I don't think they needed to recall the entire race. Maybe just get him to do the straight later on. But dearie me, yeah. Let's forgive old Cobb.
I see why they do it, because if you're doing the form on that 6 months later and you haven't actually watched that live and you it confused the hell out of you. Cripper, lay bin for you, mate.
Yeah, well, firstly, just on the DMAC one, I didn't realise either. I reckon I could have watched that replay 5 times over and not realised he'd made a blue if it wasn't for Twitter, because I don't know the over East colours either. My lay-bin, I'm actually surprised how long it took me to think of this one, because it's been one I've been pretty passionate about for a long time. And I was thinking about this in the car this morning, but I just never get when horses who are maidens race outside of their grade, especially on debut. You hear trainers all the time say how important race experience is, and then they go out and chuck a debutant in a race that's far less suitable than a maiden. It's just massive conflict of what do you call it? Contradicting. Oh, I'll get to that soon.
That's a lay-bin in itself.
Yeah, chuck me in the lay-bin. Massive contradiction to their thought process, and I just want to see maidens running in their own grade.
Fair enough. Well, I've got one food related. Egg and bacon sandwiches, where you bite into the egg and the yolk goes everywhere. It happened this morning. Yolk all over me. Absolute debacle. Just cook the egg a little bit better for me, guys. Has that ever happened to you guys?
Yeah, that's because they've cooked the egg.
Yeah.
Cook the egg what?
They've cooked the egg. You don't want the egg overcooked and the yolk to be hard.
And there's a balance there. You don't want it.
What do they call it? A cabinet. It sits in a cabinet for a few hours and roasts. And that's you, Tommy. That's a you problem and us problem.
I'm just going to learn how to eat. Clearly, let's get to Ascot. Again, it's gone up a soft 5, I believe. Good weather, obviously. Perth in summer should be okay. Hot forecast on Saturday. We're expecting a good 4, good 3, potentially later in the day, Cripper.
Yeah, definitely a good 4. Light sea breeze forecast, which has been.
How's that Freo Doctor? More importantly,
Freo Doctor, yeah, my arch nemesis. Doesn't look as strong as a couple of the recent weeks we've had, but the way this track's been playing, you'd be a brave man to say that they won't be able to make ground again. What do you reckon, Terry?
Yeah, I'm with you. Just the extra heat, I think, is the only thing that makes me think, will we start to see some of these old school Ascot days where it does suit those on speed? But I think trying to predict when that day is going to come is probably fraught with danger. So exactly what Cripper said, just allow for a fair deck.
If it plays later-ish, Cripper might have a fill-up. We'll see how we go. Let's get to race 1, 1800-metre race to start the day. Little interest from you, Daniel?
Very little interest. I reckon I've been basically done the form for every metro and provincial meeting in WA since 2017. So what's that, 7 or 8 years? And this could potentially be the longest I've ever marked a field. I had this double figures the field. I've got about 10 horses within a length of my top picks. To say I have little interest would be a big understatement. I've got no interest in this, but I'm going to throw one out which could go around 100 to 1 on Betfair late. Terry might laugh at me here, but Mystical Man last start.
I knew the horse you were going to throw out, Crip. I knew exactly which horse you were going to throw out.
That might be a good sign. Mystical Man last prep, beaten 3 lengths by Border Force when was actually pretty unlucky, got held up and thought it hit the line really well. I know they want to ride this horse on speed, so from barrier 1, hopefully he jumps and can do that. Meets Border Force 4 kilos better at the weights. Border Force is $5. Mystical Man's currently 14. You probably get better. Maybe a little place heavy bet to start the day.
Beautiful. Terry?
Yeah, I'm with Crip on the roughie. I'm $13, Mystical Man, but it's just one of those ones that gives you a very bad feel, doesn't it, Crip? Like you're not placing a losing bet, but you almost feel compelled to be on. So it's a horse that drifts every start. It's a horse that misses the kick regularly too. But the big thing I found about this race that stood out to me is of the 16 runners, 11 of them are natural back markers. So you'll have 5 down going forward. There was one other Lethal Weapon from the wide gate will roll forward, which means there's a nice spot in behind them for something that can kick up, potentially Crippers, Mystical Man, if it can step for Sean O'Donnell. But the one that stood out for me at the 1800 was War Matters. I thought its last run against Border Force over the mile was really good. It just got held up to about the 150 before it saw clear air, and I really like the way it hit the line it looks a horse to me, if you go back to its second to Diamond Dancer and the day it broke its maiden, that just wants clear air earlier and wants to really build into its races. So I'm hoping Brad Parnham can have it in fourth or sixth, one off, get clear air on straightening, and we're getting double figures each way. I was a bit different to Cripps. I managed to get this one about $4.50, so $7 ish each way. I'm happy to get involved with War Matters. Definitely something on Cripps.
Number 11 there, War Matters, from a nice barrier there for Brad Parnham. Let's move on to race 2, guys. And it's good to see you going for a hamburger here, Terry, with a back and a lay by the look of it. We've got another 1,800 metre race, another slightly smaller field. Terry, you kick us off with your hamburger, mate.
With the hamburger. That's
hamburger
good.
with a lot. That's what we're going for.
Yeah, hamburger with a lot. I don't usually chuck one in for a lay, but I was just surprised with the kisses from Kelly Price. Probably leads me to another discussion actually as well. So this is first up at 1,800. The trial was over a month ago. It's a nice horse, but this is probably sort of on its level to a degree as well. So what type of training performance to have a horse clearly who I'm presuming has had a setback since the trial to be going around fresh sub $10. The one thing I am finding, Cripps, I don't know if you factored in as much as I do, but horses like last week, I really took on D'Amber and Keep Attacking in the last. They've both missed by a lip. They were both off setbacks. They both had hoof issues since their last run. I feel like these days I need to adjust as a punter because trainers are getting better at recovering their horses mid-prep or first up 1,800s, things like that I would just completely pen in the past. I need to almost stop penning. Are you finding that a bit, Cripps?
The other thing to note about that is when the trainer rings up to scratch a horse, all they do is talk to someone on the phone and say, this is the reason I'm scratching. They don't get any follow-up about it, so they can blatantly lie about that. Might just be, who knows what the
They wouldn't do
is.
that.
No. Imagine a punting stable, they got to scratch a horse for a minor reason, and they go, well, people like me and Terry are looking at the steward's report and reading that reason, and they go hoof abscess, so straight away we're not backing that horse. It's pretty smart, actually. Mm-hmm. It's actually a really good segue because the horse that I don't mind in this race is Fly With Caution. At the $3.90 where I'm looking right now is not going to get me. That's about bang on my quote. But this horse, my one query was the month between runs, and Terry, I didn't know whether you had any opinion whether that was by design or just looked a little bit smelly.
Oh, I thought it was because they went the 7 days last time out and it was a pretty hard run race. So I just thought perhaps the mindset was go 28 days into the next. I forgave that one. I guess my query with Fly With Caution was how will it go from the breeze? I couldn't find any cover there. I think the rooster kicks up on the back of Outspoken Lad, which leaves Lukey Campbell sitting in the breeze. To me, it just... everything gave me the feel of Pike just getting the run, probably 3 lengths or Fly With Caution and getting him late sort of thing. So I was $2.10 Royal Toronado on about $4.50 Fly With Caution. Playhouse Patron was a clear third elect for me as well. So I reckon that straight out trifecta will pay about 40 to 1. So that's your better, I reckon.
Yeah, I'm going to go against Terry this race. I reckon Fly With Caution is actually a really tough horse. If you go back and watch his win, his last win before a spell, last prep, that was the same thing, had the 60 kilos, went to the breeze, looked like he was about to get run over in the straight and kick back. So Fly With Caution and Royal Toronado clashed at Fly With Caution's last run. Fly With Caution got beaten a length, gets a 2 kilo swing, and that was a day where they went about 7 lengths quicker than benchmark to the 600. Thought it was a really tough effort, whereas Royal Toronado sat back and was always going to be in that position to have last crack. So I actually marked him basically about even. So at 215 and 390 where I'm looking, Royal Toro, Fly With Caution is definitely the tip for me.
Market's got it as those two the clear picks. You guys think they'll be fighting out the finish potentially there. And you're laying Kisses from Kelly, is that right, Terry? Place?
I'll lay it place, yeah. $2.20 or $2.30. I was really surprised it was sub $10. I struggled to get it sub 50. So Cripps and I said that last week about Own the Queen when she was in our defense, she drifted to 50 to 1, but probably against us, she should have won by 4 lengths. So
Yeah, we'll take the mickey out of your mate Milo, and geez, I'm glad that didn't win because I reckon he'd be bringing it up again this week.
Doesn't sound like him.
Mm.
Let's push on to a race 3 to the sprint trip. So I see nothing in the run sheet again. Daniel, do you just sleep in these mornings at Ascot, do you, mate? Just
Yeah.
turn up after lunch and start betting the last couple?
You thought I didn't have much last week, but yeah, this week's gone to another level. I'll be doing my best Marnus impersonation.
Well, you might get dropped like him soon. We'll see how we go. Cripper, you got holding the team up again here. Not Cripper. Terry, you're holding the team up again here. You got a 2-play looks over the 1,200 metres here. Who are you with?
Yeah, I was keen to get involved here. I thought this might be one Cripper found as well on some historical data rankings, ratings, I should say. But this race looks to have a stack of speed, drawn wide, Norwich, avoidance underneath. You had Rapid Rock. There was a stack of them. There was just so much speed here. I can't see. Often we talk about these speed races and then 4 of them opt out of the speed battle. Next thing you know, something gets it soft because everything's been scared away by what was a perceived hot map on paper. So I don't think that occurs here just because the speed that's drawn wide has to come across. So it looks a mess. I'm looking off speed. The 3 that stood out to me were Comic Hero, Barney's World, and Regal Statue. Going to leave Regal Statue at the prices the way it's all worked out. Happy to back Comic Hero north of $4, but the one I'll make me main result on price is Barney's World. Ran second to Zipaway a couple of preps ago. It was a really, really nice run. I like the way it's come back this prep. The apprentice, Braden Gayeth, rode it first up behind All Play. I thought it was a nice, fresh run. And then last time out, a fortnight ago, it might have been 2 or 3 weeks ago, it sat deep and gave a really nice kick on straightening, only grabbed late, beaten a half length. I just thought it was a horse that has come back happier than it did in its winter prep. From the barrier, it might look ugly, but with the speed in this race, I think drawing awkward and blending in midfield's almost the go here. So getting double figures each way. So I'm happy to back it each way. And as I said, Comic Hero is the other one that makes a lot of sense. Sits midfield and comes at him late. That's the type of race it feels like to me, Tommy.
Number 5, Comic Hero there, and number 12, Barney's World at a bit of value. Anything to add on that, Crippo? You had a look at the race at least?
Yeah, I had a look. I had Comic Hero on top. That was the horse that interests me, but I was $6 a field. Was hoping to back him each way, which obviously at this point in time isn't an option. One good point Terry made then, and I know this is a weakness of mine, is one of many, mate. Come on. Barney's World, drawn barrier 13. I know I can be a little bit too negative about a wide gate without really thinking any more of it. And Terry made a good point and said how with a stack of speed, it actually might be the perfect draw to sort of sit just worse than midfield, 3 depth recover, then get to the outside. So I was $11 Barney's World, which I think there might have been a little bit better than that earlier. I can see $9 where I am now. So yeah, while I won't be tipping into this race, the 2 horses that Terry mentioned would be the 2 that I'd be going with too.
Very good. Let's move on to the Regional Championship, Road to Ascot, another 1,200 metre race, race 4 on the program. Evelina coming off a win, Terry. Thoughts on the race?
Evelina's actually our horse, my horse. So we're pretty excited to roll in as an owner here, to be honest. I usually like betting into the country championship final, seeing as I do enjoy my country form, but I found it near impossible. The key thing with this race is sort of lining up Geraldton, Albany, Kalgoorlie. Where's the best form, and then sort of attack it from there. But I'm really struggling. I feel like I'm just guessing where the best jurisdiction is in regards to quality of racing. So we're very hopeful. We've got the 61.5. We'll probably be leaders back or 3 the fence. I think she's bare bones. I think she'll start $10, not $5. Yeah, I think she'll be hard to beat with normal luck, but purely from a market point of view, if I had to throw one out at the current prices, it'd be horse number 10, Secret Attire. I don't think there's a huge amount between her and Evelina. Peter Fernie is proven at bringing him to town, while a lot of these other trainers, it would be a bit of a rare occurrence for them to travel to the big smoke. So that's one I could throw out at a price, but it's a race I'll be happy just to be an owner for, I think.
There you go, my favourite jockey on Secret Attire. Cripper, any thoughts?
No, as Terry said, the horses are coming from Albany, Esperance, Kalgoorlie, Geraldton. all jurisdictions, I do not follow it all, so I'd be better off probably doing the former race 1 Morfettville.
They'll pay the same. All right.
Hmm.
Thanks for nothing. Move on. Race 5. Handicap, another 1,200 metre race. Race 5 on the card, rating 78 plus. Still getting my head around these rating systems in Ascot. You'll have to educate me one day. They assume they're just like handicaps, but rating 78 plus.
Well, how's it done over there?
Oh, handicaps, but there's all sorts of different ratings. I don't know what a 60 plus. Is it just a handicap? Is that all it is?
Yeah.
Just called ratings?
Yep.
There you go. Oh, I'm educated now, I assume. Why don't they just call it a handicap or benchmark 78 like everywhere else in Australia?
They do call it a handicap, don't they?
Oh, it's a rating 78.
A ratings race. Yeah, they call it a ratings
Benchmark
race, I guess.
78,
Yeah.
like everyone else in Australia.
We're backwards.
Just like
we can't
just
even
like-
get into these meetings. It takes us 20 minutes.
Borderline Australia.
Race 5, gentlemen. Who wants to kick off here?
You go, Cripps.
All right. Well, it's your best of the day, Terry, but I am...
Don't wind me up. That's not many things upset me, but that upsets me. I don't know why.
No, Terry, you go. Tell us how you found it.
Oh dear, we found one. I feel like Miles Fitzner now. I found one here at $1.70. Here we go. And then I'm going to get my tweets ready. I'm just kidding, Fitz. That's jokes. No, Joker's Green. Well, it's a rarity. You price one $1.50 and it's $1. What is it now, Crip? $1.90. I don't have the multiple screens going like you do at the moment. But no, I think Joker's Grin is obviously a very, very nice horse. And I'm surprised it's close to even money and not closer to $1.50. So that's the only thing I'd say about this race. I've taken bit of $1.95. Who knows? There could be money. Generosity ain't no other man. You might see 220. I don't know. But all I know is if I'm marking one $1.50 with confidence and I can get $1.90, this new Terry is going to play. So I've had something on.
That's a huge overlay if you think about it. You get $2 on Betfair. It's huge.
I just don't trust my long-term data at sub $2.30. I actually show a loss over the last 10 years, and that's turning over like. That's a big sample size. So I'm trying to be better in that sense, but I'm also wary about how I've gone over a very long period of time. So I'm mindful of where my sort of strike zones are.
Fair enough. Backing or laying Joker's Grin, Daniel?
No, I'd be backing. Not at this price, and I'm the same as Terry. I find it really hard to make money on horses who are odds on. Joker's Grin. Last start, tried to get him beat. Thought he was already looking for 1,200 and he stayed at 1,000, plus had a horrible draw. I backed Divine Belief, and in the run, I thought I was on pretty good terms with myself because Divine Belief found the front and Paddy Carberry on Joker's Grin chanced his arm and went forward and got caught wide. But yeah, it just didn't matter. This horse is he's got a big spruik around him in W at the moment, and that's very warranted. So I marked him $2.20. So it's funny because I'm saying back him at $1.90, but I'm just going to wait. This actually be a good one for Betfair. I'm going to set a BSP with a minimum odds of say 230, and hopefully he gets over that price because he just gut feel. He really does look the winner. I reckon. It's pretty surprised if he gets rolled. Outside of him, I thought Ain't No Other Man could run well. He's been winning very, very well with the Apprentice on, and now gets William Pike from a good draw. So. He always runs a good race, and same as Generosity, just doesn't like putting her neck out when it matters. So they're probably the two dangers, but yeah, expect Joker's Grin to continue on his winning ways.
Just on that Betfair mentioned there, do you put up 230 as a price now and then set BSP or take BSP after at a minimum? Is that what you're referring to? So you can ask for 230 now, or you just take the BSP with the set minimum?
Set minimum on BSP. Yeah, I like that function. So then you can it's out of your hands then. We'll leave it up to the guys who shape the late market.
You can start shaping the market, mate. Put up a price at 230 and see if anyone wants to take you on.
I might do that for one a bit later in the card yet, so we'll get to that.
I like that. Before we get to the quaddy legs, guys, what caught my eye, and the run sheet says we've already touched on Darren McCauley enough, beating a dead horse there. Jockeys demanding pay for jump outs. I don't know if you've caught up with the news. Don't know if you've had any chats or thoughts around that. It's a very interesting topic. It's been widely discussed over the last couple of days. Terry, you're usually across this kind of stuff. What are your thoughts?
Look, in its entirety, there's probably two different schools of thoughts. I think one, they're paid, jockeys in general are paid very well. There's no doubt about that, but you probably should be getting paid for all the work you're doing as well. So I can't see an issue why they wouldn't get paid for jump outs. Like, I feel like you probably should almost get paid for jump outs, but does what they're already getting paid cover that to some degree? So I'm too scared to have a strong opinion on this, to be honest with you. Like, I'm really fearful talking about it. I'm trying to get all my words correctly.
The same.
But yeah, I think they're very well paid. But also, if you're doing something extra work-wise, you probably should be getting paid for that as well, I presume, just from a very simplistic point of view.
Oh, I think you've articulated that really well, Terry. I tend to agree. The money needs to come from somewhere, and whether they get paid less for other things and they get rewarded for the work they're doing in jump outs or whatnot, they do get paid very handsomely, and the money's got to come from somewhere. So that's the issue, right? And I disagree with a couple of people that say owners will pay it. There is a tipping point with ownership and expenses and costs. So I don't think we have a balance where the top end of trainers and jockeys get paid extremely well, but across the board, and owners are the same. 10% of owners might do well, but 90% don't. So how can we spread that money more evenly and make it more sustainable for everyone in the game? I think that's the biggest challenge. Any thoughts, Cripper?
No, not really. I don't really have a good enough handle on racing outside WA to have an opinion, so I'm not going to. But yeah, in WA we just have trials. Jockeys get paid $80, and seems pretty simplistic. Like, why do you guys have trials and jump outs?
Yeah, it's an odd system, and it's not just Victoria. A lot of people think that this is only Victoria, but it happens elsewhere as well. It happens in New South Wales where they have jump outs and whatnot. Soon people will be asking for more money for 1,200 metre trials and 1,000 metre trials, or your 400 metre Larkhill trials. They should get $40 for them, shouldn't they?
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Let's move on. Quaddy legs. We could talk about that, and you've got to be careful with what you're saying there, Terry. I agree. The Sir Ernest Lee-STEERE Classic, a listed race, 1,400 metres, kicks off the Quaddy. Cripper, you're here to play. Hamburger with a lot. Come on, mate. Step up. What have you got for us?
I found this an unreal race to dissect. So your current favourite, Wind and the Lion, won the Placid Arc last start. But, geez, I mean, I thought she was okay, but she got 3 deep with cover on that day into the Howling Freo Doctor. The horse who towed her in was London's Image. She actually dropped her off on top of the straight, but just, felt the pinch late with that breeze. London's Image, so then backed up into the Guineas last week, went absolutely super. Now comes back to 1,400, so we're probably going to see another sort of Pride of Jenny ride. I know we don't have Declan Bates on this start, but I imagine the instructions to Steve would be just to let her go forward and run along. So it's going to be exciting again. She's going to give him something to catch. My Aloha, if you go back and watch the replay from the Placid Arc, was absolutely luckless, jumped well, restrained back to last, never ever saw daylight in the straight. Now gets a 4 kilo weight swing on Wind in the Lion and is a bigger price. You've got Serve Dream a lot in that race, was unlucky and gets a weight swing there. There's a lot of reasons for me to suggest that Wind in the Lion shouldn't be favourite. I'm actually going to spec one here, and that's Catch Carter. I'm a little bit peeved. About 15 minutes before the podcast, we were seeing $23 and it's just trimmed into 16. But Catch Carter, 2 starts ago, I actually thought was a better run than Wind in the Lion. And Terry, I think you might agree, because I saw it in your preview that you wrote it was one of the best triple figure chances you've ever seen if it got a run, which it didn't. But it was this day I'm talking about, it was held up in the straight, and when it got out, it and Wind in the Lion made their runs together. There wasn't a lot between them. It now gets a 3 kilo swing on the favourite and is going to go around probably close to 20 to 1 while Wind in the Lion's $3. Just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. From Barry 1, we should get a soft run. And yeah, I'm happy to just have a little spec bet each ways. No matter how it goes, I won't be losing any sleep on that. Even just from another form reference, Catch Carter and 6 Shooter, they've already clashed back in early October, and Catch Carter went around shorter than 6 Shooter that day, beat at home and gets half a kilo for good measure. Six Shooters somehow $7.50 after leading at a pedestrian tempo on a hot leader bias track last start. So everything to me points that Catch Carter's over the odds.
Terry?
Yeah, I'm with. I agree. The Catch Carter's over the odds. By the way, I'm shorter than that. I actually thought it was. If you watch them through the line in the Placid Arc prelude, Crip, I thought it was probably, as I said, a better run than Wind in the Lion. So, not for at the 1400 though. I'll let it go. The horse I want to be with is Mile Lower. Crip touched on it. Gets a 4 kilo swing on Wind in the Lion. This could be a very interesting late watch. Wind in the Lion on Betfair. What are we, 270, 280 now? Like, this could jump. I don't know. I don't know what this will do something funny though. I wouldn't surprise if it jumps with a 4 in front of its name or something late in the exchange, which still wouldn't be enough for me to have a bet. But I'm pretty keen on Mile Low. We'll have to snag to last. We'll have London's Image bowling along. If it nicks it, too good for me. You're on the 11-day backup 7-7. There comes a point where the horse is going to put its hand up and say, that's enough racing. Sorry, son. So my guess is that could be this week with London's Image. I think they'll bunch. I think, as Cripps said, it should have won the Placid Arc probably. 4 kilos. There's just so much in its favour. The one thing I haven't done yet is bet Cripper. I've got a little bit of Grant and Alana William Pike fatigue, betting-wise, drift-wise after last week. What do you expect? So we're expecting Wind in the Lion to drift, I would suggest. What are you expecting a horse like Mile Loha, who will settle rearward? What are you expecting it does in this market? Do I wait or do I bet now? I'm about 310, so I can bet now in theory, but will I see a better price late? Tell me.
I just can't get a handle on William Pike's fluctuation. So 90% of the time, as I touched on last week, I mark him double the price that he is. The market has him. And then on the occasional time, so last week, Storyville, had Storyville a lot shorter than what she was at the time. So I piled into the 460, 440. She got out to over $5 on Betfair, and even off topic, but back to horse of Pikes on Sunday, Belter of a Song, marked at $2.20, was sort of taking 280, 290, and that even started $3.50. So yeah, Pikey's flux are just doing my head in a little bit at the moment, but I wanted to find Mile Lower, and I had a $4.50 favourite. So obviously I can't take 380. So I'm gunned ahead. I'm going to say drift, but yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me either way.
No, I'm with you. Risk versus reward, I think, suggests at about 370. Risk versus reward says to wait. So I was already sort of in that boat. So I'm going to blame you now and send you an invoice for the difference if it starts 3.
Especially from the barrier, I think.
Yeah. Money doesn't tend to come for horses that are going to settle last.
Well, that was going to be my point. Might be one, and I know you guys don't dabble in a lot of this, but you could almost take a price 50 metres after they jump going back, and you could get a better price. So
I can't even get into teams meetings, Tommy. How am I going to do that? And I'm going to be on course as well. Jesus.
We'll sort you out, mate. That's fine.
And the blokes on radio are 3 seconds ahead of you.
Yeah.
They're not 3 seconds ahead of you on track. I can give you the hot tip.
But Tommy, so just what we touched on before, so Wind in the Lion will be the horse. When this podcast gets put up on the social media, I'll be taking Wind in the Lion on. So I'll put it up as, it's currently $2.90. I'll put $3.50 or something up. So if anyone likes Wind in the Lion, they can go on Betfair and back it with me.
Love that.
I was going to save on Sir Dreamalot as well. Sorry, I wrote that down. I thought that Sir Dreamalot was as good a run, if not better than Wind in the Lion last start, and it's $7 versus $2.90. So just on prices, I mark them favourite and second favourite, and I get to back and save, and at $7, $8, it's a pretty cheap save. So yeah, that's it.
So Terry, sorry, I know we've touched this race a fair bit, but so you had London's Image, no chance?
It went up $12. I snipped that because I was like, you had to, just the way it's going to race, you have to mark it. I feel somewhere between $7, $8, $9. So I snipped that. It'll be a losing race. If that wins, it'll be a losing race, but it takes pain out just taking that 12. So if it drifts, I won't be interested. It was just one when I saw the $12. I thought I'll take a little bit of that. But no, I'm pretty happy taking on a horse that's on effectively the triple backup with its style of racing. Like that's hard to do, I would think. So if he gets it to win this week, too good.
Yeah, Ryan Hill, Tommy, he's an up-and-coming trainer. He does things a little bit different, but I don't know. London's Image is a horse for me. Wouldn't surprise if it wins well, and it wouldn't surprise if it runs dead last. It could. Its range between how it's going to perform is astronomical.
Don't know if I'd back it for the place at 240 or something.
Probably not an each way bet.
Quality numbers. Wind in the line.
No.
London's Image.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can win by the sound of it. Catch Carter.
Yeah.
By Helloa. Is that it?
Sir Dreamer.
And Sir Dreamer. 2, 3, 5, and 8.
2, 3, 5, 8, and you can have the favourite in there as well. Just on the take it on completely.
Yeah. I'm not in the quaddy. If we couldn't win the line, I'm not in it.
It's fascinating. I know it meets a lot of these through the lead ups, the Placid Arc Stakes and the Placid Arc Prelude, worse at the weights. But the SP has that SP anchor that might keep it safe in the market, which is interesting. Obviously, it started 290 in the Placid Arc and 240 odd in the Prelude. So it won't drift too much, in my opinion. But fascinated to see what they do with Wind in the Line there, and great insight from you too. Let's move on to the second leg of the quaddie, guys. It is the Jungle Dawn Classic 1400 metre listed race, a field of 13 go around. Baby Paris, got to be respected there. She's favourite in the early markets. Which way are you heading, Terry?
I think the market's pretty accurate here. I really like this race from a setup point of view. Like, I feel like I've got a good grip on what's going to occur. I just didn't probably get the edge in the market that I was hoping for. I think it's an amazing map for Baby Paris to jump and run and lead. The only pressure horse is Miss Flirtatious with Jade McNaughton, and she's traditionally quite defensive, unless she's been told to try and find the fence. I think she'll be really content to come out and breeze. So unless the horse gets too fired up, Miss Flirtatious, that is, at 1400 and applies pressure on Baby Paris because Jade can't hold it. I just think Baby Paris is going to get such a great time of it out in front. Won this race over the 1400 last year. It gets no penalty for beating all of these, the way the set weights and penalties works for it. So it's going to be there a long way. My gut tells me that if the Boss Lady can step, which is a big F, because it hasn't stepped first or second up and can land in 5th or 6th, it will be very hard to hold out late. And the other big watch for me is Amber Glide, pikey going on, horses flying. It just looks a map where if Baby Paris is going to get it real well, the Boss Lady could be in 5th. If Amber Glide's 2 lengths, 3 lengths behind the Boss Lady, I don't think it's getting him. So look at 380, 450. I'm 320 Baby Paris and about 440 the Boss Lady. I'm considering a back and save on map with those two, but there's not a huge amount of meat there. But that's the way I'm considering it at the moment. Love and War is the horse that's miles under the odds for me. It's $6. I think the other Peter's horse, Antique Miss, is a better chance than it. It's got the pads going on. It was so last week, and it's got no barrier either. So I can't see how it's $6 in this market. So I'd be very happy to take it on for the place as well. Tommy at about 220.
I like that. A few lays there. So Baby Paris, the Boss Lady, your top 2. Who's the third number that you said the 3 chances?
They're to be honest, I think they're the only 3 winning chances. For some value, I'd throw Antique Miss in the quaddie. I think it's one that maps really nicely. I just think it's looking for a bit further now.
1, 4, 7, 11 there for Terry. Cripper?
Yeah, not a lot to add. What Terry's just said then is really bang on what I'm thinking. Baby Paris led on that day. That was almost impossible to do so, but probably by the time they jumped, and they were about 15 minutes overdue because they had a few horses that wouldn't go in the gates, etc. The wind had actually died down probably by 6:15. So might have been, I guess it might have been a bit easy to lead by the time she raced than it was earlier in the afternoon. But like Terry said, no weight swings here. She won the race last year, even though 1400's probably, she doesn't want any further, and she's going to get a soft map. So yeah, she was on top for me, but I'm not, $3.40 won't get me. So happy to, just happy to watch her go around, and agree with Terry that the Antique Miss is the one who is slightly over my quote, can definitely win at double figures.
1, 4, 7, 11 go in the quaddie there. We're taking on Love and War to place on Betfair there. Let's get to the Group 1 Winterbottom. What a race this is. Some good horses have won this, obviously. Overpass, Palele, Graceful Girl, Late Straight and Buffering. Won it going back a few years, a couple of times, I believe. So, been a great race, the Winterbottom. Speed looks fascinating here, Terry. Overpass draws the outside barrier. There does look a bit of speed underneath him. We've got Bravo Centurion from just inside. Could roll forward. Boots like Bruce, Man Crusher got speed. How do you see the map?
Yeah, I don't really have any strong opinion on the race itself from a betting point of view, but from a when the barrier draw was done, you couldn't ask for a more fascinating barrier draw to make the race as interesting as possible. You wanted to see Bravo draw under overpass, I think, which has occurred. You'd like to see them both draw wide, so they're forced to really roll across. You'd think it's going to be Bravo in front and overpass in the breeze. I guess it's just A, how much work to get there, and B, does a horse fire up underneath? I don't think any do. Man Crush could do, but it's from the same yard as Bravo Centurion, so clearly there'll be instructions not to take it on. Then there's a horse like Snowdome potentially. Boots isn't stepping as quickly. So I do think they get there pretty comfortably, but it's just how comfortably, I guess, they get there. Yeah, Western Empire. I think Pikey will try and land a pair or two closer than they did last start. If they do a bit of work early and he's close enough, he could make it very, very interesting late. For the sake of a tip, that might be the way I go. But look, I think I learned my lesson. I was telling Cripps this during the week. I learned my lesson that getting involved in the railway to the degree I did when I have such probably limited knowledge on the Eastern States horses, and also don't know how well they've travelled and blah, blah, blah. So I feel like I've learned my lesson there to some degree, not to get too heavily involved here.
Yeah, we didn't touch on Port Lockroy much last week, which was interesting coming off a Golden Eagle run. The map interests me and fascinates me here because it almost looks really obvious that the two from out wide will be storming across. Is that the case? Every jockey just waits for them to roll across and expects that to happen. It could almost be too obvious, and those two can cart across, and obviously the horse on the inside, Bravo Centurion, just carts overpass across and they get a nice run in transit there, and it won't be too hard because it's just what's expected, which is really interesting. How do you see the map and then the race, Cripper?
Well, I don't think they're going to potentially get over that easily, just because a horse like Snowdome, look, he's not going to lead, but I think he will want to be sitting third or fourth. So for him to do that, he's going to have to cross Almighty, Class and Man Crush, or at least cross one of them. So hopefully Snowdome is kicked out, and then which makes Bravo obviously have to cross him. And then, yeah, Overpass I'm pretty confident that Overpass will be happy to sit in the breeze. And especially if you listen to Luke Fernie during the week, he just said there'll be no way in the world that Overpass will be crossing Bravo. So Overpass has won from the breeze. Won last year's Winterbottom from the breeze. So
I was going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine why you'd want to. Yeah, why would you want to cut each other up when you can probably just rate the horse well, especially sitting outside the leader who is suspect at 1,200. Unlike last week's Railway, I actually feel, despite Overpass not being a Western Australian horse, I actually feel like I've got a decent handle on him. He has been a good horse to me. Been on him the last two times he's been out west, and you tell me if you disagree with this or not, Tommy, but just feel like this is a completely different setup to the last two times he's been here. He seems to go a lot better fresh, and now this time he comes here third up. He's only had 21 days between his first up and second up run, and then a further 3 weeks leading into this. You know, he's obviously got to do the travel in that time as well. So while if Overpass comes here and brings his best form, they're running for second. But just on that slight query I have with that he's not fresh. He's obviously got barrier 16. Ascot's been playing really fair at sort of sub $3. I'm just going to tiptoe around him. And the horse that I'm happy to be with, I'm a little bit in the Pike and Grant Alana vortex at the moment, but that is Western Empire. His best form's obviously unreal. He bolted into the Railway. It was a long time, 4 years ago now, but by over 4 lengths under a handbrake. So not that I'm taking too much consideration into that run, but he trialled super on 2 occasions. First up, he got back and he was 3 back the fence. He couldn't get any momentum, blocked on straightening when roped them in, had all the momentum out wide, 3 deep with cover. It was just, if you swap runs of those 2 horses, you definitely swap the results. And I even think if Western Empire gets clear at the top of the straight, he probably wins. He gets a 3.5 kilo swing on rope them in for that effort going up to weight for age. So I'm really confident he's the best horse out of that race. There was about 5 or 6 who clashed that day. Barrier
10
4,
of them, actually.
Was it 10? Was there? Yeah, there you
10
go.
through the Colonel race, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's probably 5 or 6 genuine chances and 4 that are just making up the numbers. But barrier 4, I'd be surprised if Pike gets to the fence. That would be his main aim, is to stay off the fence. And like Terry said, if he can just settle a little bit closer, I don't reckon he'll be any better than midfield, but if he can be midfield, one off the fence, they go pretty fast with the two that we've touched on, out running him along. Grant Alana, there's no one better in this state at setting a horse for a grand final, and they've said all along this is his grand final. I'm looking forward to being on him and seeing what he does late.
Yeah, I agree with you regarding Western Empire. Obviously, first up to second up, a lot of improvement. I thought Rope Them In was holding Western Empire on the line. I don't think Western Empire was that unlucky last start. I thought he had a relatively clear path. Do you disagree, Terry?
Yeah.
Just the momentum to the outside with Rope Them In?
Yeah. Momentum for a horse of that nature as well. 1100 is probably a bit thin for it. I see what you mean. I think sometimes it can be deceptive when horses jag up underneath other runners. I think I'm probably not going to word this very well, but I feel like it can be deceptive that we think they've peaked on their run when often they haven't. I think if you continue watching it through the line and a lot of those situations, you can see that it was going better than it. But I can also appreciate what you're saying, and there's a world where drawing barrier 9 here could be better than barrier 4, with the momentum being probably more readily available, I guess, for Rope Them In as well. So I'd be surprised normal luck if Western Empire doesn't turn the table on Rope Them In though.
Yeah, I tend to agree. It was just that 3.5 weight swing, first up to second up, national improvement. So I think we can all agree that of that, Colonel Reeves, Western Empire is a horse to follow. I'm with Overpass again. Interesting with the prices and whatnot. Overpass, obviously first up, and you make a really good point, Cripper, around first up. He's won two Winterbottoms, or 2 Quackers first up, and a Winterbottom when he was off in Everest, and a freshen up, and with that trial in between. So he does fly fresh. That's the little query, but I do think he's still a fantastic horse. He beats Lady Laguna by close to 4 lengths there first up. Lady Laguna's price, $5 there. Overpass $20 Lady Laguna. So just from a pricing perspective, I probably can't get them as close to as they are here. They made it the level weights there. So I know Lady Laguna was pretty good, drew wide, charged, or came okay down the outside. But yeah, I think Overpass can beat Lady Laguna home again. Are we just potting Bravo Centurion at this trip with the work?
Yeah,
all too soon.
Yeah, too good for me. Good for me. I couldn't have it. Wouldn't surprise me if it runs a really nice race, but I think when Overpass levels up with 100 to go, 150 to go, I think that might be pop for Bravo Centurion. So my feel is it could get passed by quite a few of them. So
some campaign, plus one in August, and it's been up for a while, and now running in under $10 in a Group 1 Winterbottom.
Yeah, no, I remember Luke actually spoke to us before its debut, and it lost I hope I got the right horse here. I think it lost a maiden, and told us it was really good, and we had a big bet that day, and we didn't get the Jockeys in a Winterbottom. So he was right that it was it must have been doing something right behind the scenes. But fascinating race to watch, that's for sure.
How did you guys, if at all, line up Mahaba?
Yeah, for me, just on the data, it's gonna have to run at least a 2-length career peak to win this race. So I was pretty happy to take him on. He's pretty lightly raced, but if he runs a 2-length career peak mid prep with travel, then too good for me. Yeah,
I would tend to agree. My ratings say the same. He needs to go to another level here, but he gets the opportunity to do that, if that makes sense. You can only run ratings against the horses you've been running against, and now this is his time to actually go to that next level. He's lightly raced. He beat Ray Magnerio, 2-back, who came out and ran a really good race behind Nadal, who looked like a world beater last start at Cranbourne. So the form stacks up. I make a case for him. He does on ratings need to improve, but he'll go in my quality for sure. I'm with Overpass. I got him on top. I think he can roll across, settle outside late, and be too strong late. Again, I think he's the best sprinter in this race, and top 5 sprinters in Australia at his best. So no reason to jump off him.
Yeah, no disagreement from me that he's the best sprinter in this race. It's just that not being fresh is enough for me to try and get him beat, and we'll go with the best local chance on their home deck.
Yeah.
Just on that, Crip, I think Mitch will get upset if we don't mention Almighty Class. I know it's been one of your favourites and you've had a couple of good results on him this prep. Completely forgive last start when they missed the kick, 4 deep the trip. Could land on the back. I know you said Snowdome will be looking for it, but could land somewhere near the back of Overpass. Almighty Class, in regards to ranking our locals, do you think he's where he should be, behind Rope Them In that far?
No, I was just about to say that. I'm shocked that he's longer than Rope Them In, but I don't think it'll be a case of Almighty Class shortening. It'll be more a case, I think Rope Them In will be a big drifter.
Interesting there. Speaking of bad luck, we move on to race 9, where a horse, Werben Gold, and we were talking about this horse last week. Werben Gold, pretty unlucky last start. Obviously, it's a pretty decent race. Werben Gold's $4.80 here, shorter last week, 1,400 metres to finish us off. We are forgiving Werben Gold for the run last week, Terry.
Yeah, I think so. I find with this yard, and I said it last week as well, I just find with the yard, some of their horses can mix form, and that's why we probably with Baby Paris earlier in the day, same yard, probably a little bit wary about diving in. Their horses seem to just mix form a little bit too readily for mine, which worries me. But yeah, missed the kick. He was up and late. I thought he was going as well as keep attacking at about the 200 when he went up his backside. It may not have looked like he hit the line hard, but I don't know what he was meant to do once you've copped that check at the 200 and you've lost your momentum. So, yeah, I'm very happy to forgive. I think this speed map looks difficult for him. He's probably going to have to go back. There's no obvious back for him to follow. There's not a huge amount of quality speed in this race either. So I think this market's got it pretty right. I really want to be with Miss Sky High, which surprised me to some degree. She was going to be anything, and then it looked like she was going to be nothing. But I think if we look at her last 2 runs, we can sort of compare her to a Storyville type or even a Maya Loa type who the camp have figured out. I think once this really good training partnership figure one out, we can go, well, hang on, she was going to be anything. She should be winning a 66 plus with 57.5 with the best map in the race. So I'm pretty keen to be aboard her. I was $3.10. I haven't bet yet. She's about $3.20. I don't feel compelled to bet at $3.20. It was another one where Cripper, who's the pricing guru in my mind, I was going to ask Cripper, do I hold fire or do I take the $3.20, $3.30 Crip?
It's a pike course. He won't be able to give you an answer.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
You've given me some curly ones this episode. I was $6 a field for this race. So
Well,
Miss Sky High, yeah, I'd wait if I was you. Miss Sky High and Werben Gold on top, but both under my price. So yeah, I can't see why she can't start sub $3 in this field, can she?
I thought I'd see 480 early. I genuinely thought I'd see, and even that, I was like, I may see better late. So risk versus reward. If she jumps 280 and I'm not on, too good for me. But at $3.30, $3.40, whatever she is now, it looks a pretty easy one to hold fire, especially in a capacity field. All 16 horses have to fit into the 100% Betfair market late. So, yeah, so I think risk versus reward, we hold fire. And once again, I curse you when she jumps $2.42 and I'm not on.
So one thing, Terry, I'm not sure if you had a good look at the data in this race, but Miss Sky High actually rated through the roof last start. But I'm almost convinced that rating, sometimes you just see a race, and Tommy, I'm not sure on your stuff you'd see the same, where they rate so well, but it's not a true reflection of the race. There's horses in the Miss Sky High race who went poor that day, and they've actually come in with career best figures. It's definitely a flash in the pan rating, and I reckon she will then now drop back to her normal level off that rating, which still could be good enough to win this race for sure. But I mean, if she repeated her last up figure, she just wins, but I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. You said these spikes, especially last start winners, that spike, and I find that you have to, and this is the edge for punters like us three, that we don't rely solely on ratings. We actually do the tapes and do the trials and do the form and then look at ratings. That's how I do it anyway, to back up my thoughts. So that's where you get little edges against the data teams, potentially finding out these spike ratings or ratings that might be different to the actual rating, if that makes sense. So help me out with the last leg of the quarter. I had 3 going last week for a stack and I managed to get beat a lip. Need a hand in the last, please, guys.
Well, if you like Miss Sky High, Terry, you've you've got to like Madame Magic, who was unlucky and gets a weight swing. We'll go around double figures. Oh, geez.
Ruben's got to go in.
Ruben's going in.
So we've got 5, 7, 12.
Terry's been a Kalima fan all the way through, so
Yeah, the scratching last week, and now I'm feeling it feels a bit funny to me. What about something Nick can get on speed? Crit race with no speed. Benji's rolling forward at 100 to 1.
well, I've got 40 to 1, so if it's 100 to 1, makes sense.
Dovers goes now quaddy. Just stand out, Miss Sky Eye, Tommy.
Love that. Miss Sky for Terry.
One thing I will say from a jockey point of view, I found it very interesting. Clint Johnston Porter, I think this is one start too early. It's definitely one start too early. But he usually rides Countless Sessions, who's going really, really well, but he's opted to ride Citino off its trial. So I reckon that's a really big push that he thinks Citino must be going super. So wrong setup for it, I think, here. Maybe one to follow going forward.
Might go in the quaddy. I like horses spilling off a win too.
There you go.
That'll do me. All right, guys, time for the lay streak before we get into best bets. I'm 9 in a row, flying, airborne. Belclair did the right thing by us and went backwards at the 200. That was good. What have we got this week? Win of the line for you, Cripper?
Yeah, I've been pretty passionate about winning the line, being under the odds, so I got to put my money where my mouth is, don't I? So that's my lay of the day, and I will be putting it up on Twitter. So yeah, I'll be putting a bet up or a lay up on Betfair this afternoon. So if anyone wants to back it at a much bigger price than it currently is around the corporates, then feel free to.
Great, love that. So Thursday, what time Thursday? A couple of hours from now, will it?
Yeah, well, whenever the show goes up, but actually I'm playing golf this afternoon, so when I go home from golf.
Oh, tough life. Tough life. So odds will be up tonight. Cripps taking him on. Check out Betfair if you really like winning the line, and you can get a good price there on the exchange. Terry, who are you taking on, mate?
A couple. I've mentioned a few already. We'll go with Kisses from Kelly in race number 2 to run a place around about 2:30 at the moment. I struggled to get anywhere near it from market point of view. So we'll go with Kisses from Kelly in race 2 to run a place.
I'm pretty keen to take on Bravo Centurion, win and place, but we'll make it the win for this show just to keep my streak alive. I'll be soft, but I haven't done enough for them around the country yet. But Bravo Centurion, I'll be shocked if Bravo Centurion wins the Group 1 with the pressure and the big overpass, just eyeballing him at the top of the straight. He won't know what hit him. So hopefully he runs backwards like Belclair did last week. Best bets, start with you, Terry.
It's more of an even betting day for me. I've got quite a lot of races I'm going to get involved with, but I'm going to go with my Aloha in race 6. I really don't like Winton the Lion. I think there's just a lot of battlers in the race, and I think it's a really nice horse on the rise on the minimum. Pike from last never worries me. So my Aloha, race 6.
Cripper?
Yeah, Western Empire in the Winterbottom. So this one's a little bit by default. Wouldn't say it's a high confidence meeting. It will be a smaller outlay day for me compared to the first 2 days of the Pinnacles, but that might be a good thing.
Next week, you're going to step up and nail plenty of winners for us. We'll have to work out next week because I've got a few things on Thursday, but we'll find a time to do this again. Thanks for joining us, guys. Best of luck. Looking forward to chatting next week. We've got 2 days left of the carnival.
Yep.
3.
Gold Rush in a fortnight.
Yeah, Gold Rush, Northerly, Winterbottom. 3 to go.
Oh, you beauty. How good's that? I look forward to chatting next week. Thanks for joining us on Laid Back with Betfair.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.